It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show, episode 93. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, September 8th, 2024. A great day for a podcast about video games and much more, and that's what we're here to do today. So welcome to the show. Hope you're doing great out there in the world. It is a great day for video games, and it is a great day for the start of the NFL season. Even though the NFL season started Thursday with a Chiefs win over the Ravens, and then we had a Packers versus Eagles game Friday, it is the real day of football today because the greatest team in the galaxy, in the universe, in any time continuum, any space-time continuum, the Carolina Panthers, the number one team in the universe, the 2-win monster from last season, coming back for the reckoning of the second season. So just excited for football season over here. It's going to be a great day today. The Panthers play at 1 p.m. Eastern time. If you're listening in real time, getting this podcast out early, it's 9 in the morning. So we're going to talk about some video games and we're going to get into some sports. And that is the plan for today. So hopefully you have some type of similar plan or a great plan for your day or whenever you're listening to this podcast. So welcome to the show. That's the main thing I want to say. And the other thing I want to say is if you'd like to support the show, more than just listening, full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can, find the podcast. First order of business is ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available. If you'd like to subscribe monthly and get some additional benefits. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. So today's show, as always, is going to have 3 sections. Section 1, what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. Section 2, the mid-section, I'll tell you about what's going on around the video game world. So all the video game news and releases and information and layoff news that you need to know. So that's where you're going to get all that information and a recap of the week. And then the third and final section is the Miscellaneous Talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world that usually leans on sports. And today we're going to lean on me when you're not strong because we're going to be leaning on the sports world, talking about everything going on with my favorite teams. The Atlanta Braves right now are going on, and another team joins the fray today with the Carolina Panthers. So what a great day to be myself as a fan of sports over here. So that's what we're going to do today. So that's the plan. So welcome to the show. All right, the first section I want to talk about. So I'm pretty hyped for sports over here, but it's been one of the better video game weeks in a long time. And I have a couple games in my possession now that I really want to put a lot of time into and play. So we're going to talk about them. And the first one of those is something that just released this past week, September 6, 2024. A great day for a video game release and much more, and that is Astro. That game is available right now on PlayStation 5. I believe it's $59.99. I don't think it's seen the next-gen price hike yet. It is a 3D platformer. Everything I kind of heard before was it's a 10 out of 10 game. The reviews dropped a couple days prior. Everyone touting how amazing it is. 10 out of 10. Best 3D platformer since Mario Galaxy 2 or Mario Odyssey, in the same quality and same vein of that. I think Jeff Gerstmann wrote he got emotional playing some of this about some of the Sony stuff. And I think a lot of people were, saying this is what video games are about. So Astrobot had a lot of hype going into it. And I am here to say on the Dep Lewis Show, episode 93, it's living up to it. It really is. It's living up to the hype. It's living up to more than the hype. And it's insanely good. It's just so much fun. Once this game got announced, I went back and played the first Astros. I think it's called Astro's Playroom. Whatever is the pre-install that we got on the PS. I guess it was PS4. But if you have a PS4, if you have a PS5, you definitely can because that's what I have. But whatever the first iteration was a small game. It was amazing. I can't believe I hadn't played it before. And it's kind of exactly the game I love. 3D platformers are one of my favorite games of all time. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Odyssey, any of the old Marios, Banjo-Kazooie. It's just definitely one of my favorite genres. Even the Kirby games recently. And Astrobot, man, it's even hard to kind of say what about Astrobot, but the controls are so tight, they feel amazing. Walking around, looking at every single thing on the map is fun, even for someone who isn't the most exploratory person. You really want to check everything out because there's something hiding in every little nook and cranny. You can go hit a crab and walking around the sand and he'll pop up and give you something. You can go swim and jump through a hoop. You can ride on a turtle's back. and everything in the game is just so visually appealing, and the music is wonderful. It's just an enjoyable experience. And I think if you really did want to send a copy of a video game to another universe, this would be a great example of just a video game, a video game ass video game, as people like to say. And Astrobot, while I'm just playing it, it's just so good. You're just kind of soaking in every moment. It really is. It's going to be one of those games when you're done finishing it. I don't know. You're going to want to play it again. It really does. It feels like one of the old Galaxy games. You're getting introduced to all these new areas. Everything is so fresh and unique, and you're walking around different areas, and all the control things is pretty special too. The way the controller feels just while you're interacting with things, all the little vibrations and just things you can feel through there, and then it's just really amazing what they do. And so Team Asobi is the developer of this game. Astrobot, going crazy for it. It's a really amazing game. I'm just a couple hours in. I got it on Friday, and I've been playing it. And I have a couple other games that I've been playing recently, but Astrobot's been amazing. The controls, the characters in the game, you're getting the PlayStation nostalgia, as I was mentioning earlier. Some people saying they were emotional about it, but it is a great trip down memory lane, and you're picking up these characters and these bots, and they're coming back to your hub world. It's a little bit like Pikmin in that sense, in your hub world, where you need 10 of the bots to complete a certain task, and you can do all these fun little, I wouldn't say mini games, but these fun little, almost like puzzly, like just little things. But everything in this game is doing great. From the hub world, where you crash. So you're flying your PlayStation 5 through space. It crashes onto a planet. You have a crash site, and then from there you want to go collect the parts to get your ship back going, and you want to collect your friends to help out, to help build the ship and do all those kind of things. So you crash. It opens up a galaxy. You get the first galaxy. I think there's like 3 or 4, 6 of them that you can enter, and then once you enter the galaxy, it's a big gorilla. There's 5 or 6 things you can see on the map that are worlds that you need to go to. So very reminiscent and very similar and very mirroring of Mario Galaxy, but it just feels so refreshing and fun because it's been so long since you've had one of those games where it is like that. You're not having to walk through a hub world to get into different areas. It really is just a thing you can click on and get into and see how many things you've completed, and it's a great screen for showing you all your stats. And it's still fun to move around because you're flying around on a DualSense controller. So in the hub world, you're flying around, you go into the galaxy, you go into the big ape world, and even flying around the map, there's things to discover. So you just really want to make sure you take your time with this game and poke and prod at every little piece, because they've probably hidden something behind there. So just really, really super excellent. Great package. It runs well. Didn't need some crazy patch. There's no microtransactions. It's just a video game. And I think it's to the highest order. So Astrobot, I think only being a couple hours in, I think it's going to easily be my video game of the year. It's really making me think about Splatoon 3, about how much fun I had when that game came out, and that was my game of the year. And I think it's feeling a little bit like that. And Splatoon 3 was basically just a multiplayer game for me, and this is a single player game only, but that is generally the type of game I like to play. So Astrobot, you're amazing. The character of Astrobot's amazing. The developers over there did a wonderful job, and this game has been so much fun. And I'm going to be talking about it for weeks on end, hopefully until I complete it, and we'll see how much of it I can complete. I've been seeing some people getting platinum trophies out there, wanting to get 2 platinum trophies, want to go play it on another profile. So I think this game has become an instant classic, and I can see why. So I'm trying to think. You're picking up characters from other franchises. I just got Spyro last night, which was really cool, and they just have really, really detailed character models, and it's just really fun, very toy-like and very high definition, very cool looking, and just a wonderful package. So I think they really nailed everything in this game. I think the only question mark I still have left is how much of this game there is, and how much variety. And is it going to be? I don't really know how long the game is. I guess that's the thing. So there's some completion-y stuff that you can do here, which maybe I'll get into. I think the most completed 3D platformer I've ever played was Galaxy 1. I 100%ed that, and I'm not a 100% kind of person. So I don't know. This game, I'm trying to do it a little bit naturally early on, just try to collect everything I can and take my time. So I'll just keep you updated. But the first world was really, really fun. And the second world, that's where I'm into. So I'm just at the beginning of the second world. I've done a lot of stuff on the crash site where I'm walking around with all my bots and friends. And characters from different franchises, and just having a wonderful, exceptional, amazing, outstanding, lovely, fun, exciting time with the new Astrobot game, and I think you should go play it too. So if you have a PlayStation 5, you should play this game. And if you don't have a PlayStation 5, this is a great reason to get one. I think this is the kind of game that could sell a system, and that it does sell a system, and is a great reason to own a particular system. This just reminds me of having the Nintendo Wii and getting Galaxy, and just what a wonderful combo. And Astrobot and the PlayStation 5 feels like a wonderful combo, and I am glad that I can be a third wheel to their relationship. So Astrobot's been an amazing game. I'll be talking about it more in the upcoming weeks, but that is my early thoughts on it, and that's very high praise, and thank you for sifting through all those thoughts with me and just trying to kind of throw them out there on you real early. But that's Astrobot. I didn't really take any notes on it, but those are just my overall thoughts on the Astrobot, and I'm loving it. So high contender for Game of the Year, I got to say, and having so much fun. So another game that came out a couple weeks ago called Star Wars Outlaws is something I picked up, and I've been having a lot of fun with this too. So now I'm just a little bit in overflow mode with video games, but I do want to say I'm playing some Star Wars Outlaws, and I don't really have too many complaints about it. I think some of the stuff, I was going to say, some of the areas in the open world aren't as interactive-y, or in the world aren't as interactive-y as you might want them to be. It feels a little more museum-like, which isn't the worst, being a Star Wars game with all the cool stuff to look at, but you can't walk through some of the doors. Some of the other speeders that characters get off, you can't hop on and ride. I think that was kind of not a glaring mistake, but something I heard mentioned on a podcast early on when the game came out. And then when I got to that section in the game, it was a little bit striking to me too. I'm like, man, I really wouldn't want to ride that. And it's sitting right there, and it's just sitting in the world. You should be able to just walk up to it and get it. But I think they had to make some concessions with making the world look great and having it fit all the Star Wars mold and all that kind of thing. I think it's a little bit more of a, like I said, a museum to Star Wars more than something like interactive-y. But this is a whole video game, a whole world to play with. There's open world mechanics and things you can do and decisions you can make and places you can go. But it's a Star Wars game, and I think the Star Wars stuff is the main focus. And the characters in this game are very cool. Kay Vess is the main character, and Nix is her sidekick. I think this is making me realize how much I do like a character and a sidekick. I think it's one of my favorite combos in the video games. Ratchet and Clank are the prime example of that. I was watching Janet Garcia and her brother stream Jak and Daxter, another example of that. Banjo-Kazooie. Link always has a sidekick. Mario has Cappy. It's just great to have a sidekick. Calden has Syl if you're a Stormlight reader. So there's some book stuff going on since I'm in the midst of reading Wind and Truth, which is very fun. But Star Wars Outlaws, I flew a ship, I crash landed, I dipped on my speeder. I mean, that was the intro to the game, pretty cool. I wrote the lockpick mechanic in this game is very fun and satisfying, and a little bit not hard, but it just takes a second to get used to, and then you just kind of have fun with it. You really do have to listen for the rhythm and try to emulate it, so it's a fun take on that, and the click of it just feels so good. I think all these games recently have been doing some really good like tactile stuff and really doing great things with the DualSense controller, and just having some of these things feel really good that you're doing them in the video game. It's just kind of ordinary things, but it just feels extra good based on the hardware, and I think that's a really great thing that PlayStation has going for them right now. And Astrobot does it too. They use the controller, and that's something needs to be said about Astrobot again, just from me, that it really does a lot of great things with the controller, and it does different functions. You pick up different power-ups that force you to use the controller in a different way, and sometimes it takes a second to click. So I think that is sometimes it seems like it's hard or frustrating, but I think that is kind of like the genius of it, where once it does click, it's second nature, but it takes you a second to sit there and figure it out. And then you learn over the course of this game that you really do want to just give it a second, and you might just figure it out on your own, because a lot of this stuff is extremely intuitive. And I think some of these things are intentional, where they're wanting you to feel that frustration for half a second, but then once you get it, the payoff is going to be worth it. So I think that's what some Astrobot is doing. And just back to Star Wars Outlaws, I got down that rabbit hole talking about their lockpick mechanic, but I think it's just a really good function in this game that's very fun. I wrote that this game feels like Uncharted a little bit, or Final Fantasy VII Remake, with some of the inside sections so far, and I mean that as a compliment, because I really love both of those games I mentioned, and I would kind of say Star Wars Outlaws has been surprising me with how fun it is. I don't have any strong strong plans to, make my way through this or when I'm going to complete it, but it's just something I've been jumping into, trying to make some story progress, trying to walk around the world and see what's going on. And it's been doing a lot of fun things too. I think it's doing the Star Wars thing good. It has a really good world they've built here, so it's fun to walk around the world and just live in it. And I don't know, I think this game's just getting backseated a little bit right now by some other games that I'm playing, but it's something that is going to be on my mind, and definitely my top third-person action game I have going right now. So I'm trying to think what else I want to say about it. I'm not generally a stealth player, but I like some of the stealth sections in this game. It seems kind of minimal. It doesn't seem too complicated. I really like the blaster. It's another thing that feels really good to shoot. So I think that's another thing they really nailed. The feel of the shooting the blaster feels great. I think it's got some stealth mechanics in here. Walking around with Kay feels good. It just feels good. It's fun. She's fun to control. Even Nyx is fun to control. Some of his stuff he can do is really fun and helpful, and not a nuisance in any way. And he's pretty cute of a sidekick. So I mean, this game is really, really good. I can't really understand too much hate on it at this point. I don't know how long of an experience it is, but it's something I'm early on into and something I look forward to playing more of. So I have some really great games. I have this on PlayStation, and so those are 2 games right now I'm rolling on my PlayStation, and I have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I have a really great trifecta of video games going right now playing on the PlayStation, and you'll be hearing me talk about those probably through the end of the year. All right, so those are my thoughts on the 2 new games I'm playing, Astrobot and Star Wars Outlaws. Well, next one's another new game as well, and that is Castlevania Dominus Collection. And I just feel like right now in the video game world, these video games are overachieving on my expectations. This game has been amazing. I'm starting with Dawn of Sorrow in this 3-game package. Actually, it's a 5-game package if you count Haunted Castle and the 2 versions of that. But Dawn of Sorrow is the first game released chronologically, so I decided to go with that one. And I've heard that this is the best one from a lot of people in the package, so I felt a little bit weird starting with that, but it's been, just might as well. It's the first one. I think it came out in 2006. The other ones were a couple years after. This one has Soma Cruz, I believe is the main character named Soma. Very cool character. And this game makes me realize that I like this game without knowing I like this game. So many things from Vampire Survivor, so many things from what other games was I going to say? Dead Cells are inspired by this game, and I just feel so stupid being a little bit of an older video gamer. This has just been a series that I have not played, and once Castlevania got brought into Dead Cells, it really opened my eyes to how much I'm like, man, I really love this. I think this has been my favorite section of this game, and now I'm playing Castlevania, and I have a whole game of that game, so should have put those 2 things together earlier, but I'm glad this collection came out. I think people tout some of these DS games as some of the best games in Castlevania across the whole series. And early on, I would say I'm probably not built for Metroidvanias or Castlevanias, but I've been trying it. And this game, I like that it early on. I like the combat a whole lot. I think that's an early highlight. I think the music is a highlight. I think the enemies are a highlight. I think fighting them is fun. I don't think they're too complicated yet. I think you have enough agility and ability and powers to tackle the enemy so far. I like all the different areas. I like the mobility stuff. I like that you can hover. I like that you have different power-ups that you can choose. It feels like you're equipping, different equipment or materia kind of thing almost. I like you can buy potions. I like the characters you talk to in this game. That's surprising that the character interactions from the people that you come across or the people that are running shops. I think they all have really interesting dialogue. It's just fun. They're not taking themselves too seriously, but there is a little bit of an air of seriousness to it. Like you believe the world a little bit, or you believe the world a lot. I think that's the part of the thing that's really cool here, and just a great sense. And having this as an old game from 2005, I think it's just really cool. I think it's just a good example of how sometimes I do need to go back in time to some of these video games, and they are not old or outdated. Some of these games can live on forever and be fun forever, and they were fun back then, and they're fun now, and that doesn't change. And maybe some things get updated and added to the genre, but it doesn't take away anything that these games have done, because they're still extremely fun, and seems like some of the best games ever. So Dawn of Sorrow has been very fun. I have been exploring on my own in this game. I think I did use the guide. I've used a guide once to look up how to get across a section, and I needed to equip the hover thing or the glide basically to get across this gap. I didn't know that I needed to equip it. So I think there could be another scenario where something like that, but I've unlocked the ability to destroy blocks on the screen, or like ice blocks, and so that's allowed me to open up some areas, but not as many as I thought. So this game does a good job of exploring. I'm learning where I'm going. There's some different fast travel points that you can use, but overall, it's, I've been backtracking, and you can just see this is something, I don't know. I think maybe I'll start liking this style of game or thing over time, but it reminds me of Elden Ring a little bit in the combat, where you're really just trying to build up your character, and that's helping you defeat these characters easier next time you come across them. And the more you're fighting, the more you're leveling up, and that's the same in Castlevania. And I just find that to be really, really fun. I think it's cool that you can grind a little bit, and I think that helps with a little bit of the fear or worry about running into some really strong enemies. So Castlevania has been awesome. I've been playing it. I have it on the Switch, so I've been playing it handheld, been sitting outside and playing it, and that's been extremely fun. And that's really been the main way I've been playing this. And no complaint to the controls there. It's been really fun. It looks great on the OLED. Just an extremely great game. And I can't believe there's 4 other games in the package, 2 other mainline DS games that I really want to try at some point. And I've thought about booting up a file just to start trying them out, having a file going in each one, but I don't know if I'm going to quite do that yet. I've been making some progress in Dawn of Sorrow, and I don't know how differently the games play or how different the mechanics are, if that'll trip me up, but I might try to dip into some of the other games and see what's going on with them. I think it's Aria, an Order of Ecclesia. Can't think of what the other one's name, but there's 3 DS games in the package, but been really fun. Castlevania Dominus Collection, and I highly recommend that as well. So those have been the 3 games I've been playing this week: Astro, Star Wars Outlaws, and Castlevania Dominus Collection. All games I'm really into, so it's been a little bit hard to talk about them or just get my feelings all concise and orderly, but hopefully I can build those thoughts out over time, and you will be hearing them on the podcast here. But really in love with some Astrobot. I would say I'm almost in love with some Castlevania, and I'm having a great time with Star Wars Outlaws. I think that's probably, I don't have like a love meter for these video games, but I just made one. So that's my thoughts on that. And what else do I want to say about my video gaming of the week? This is the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. I haven't really played too many RPGs this week, so that is okay. I've had a whole year of focus on RPGs. Played Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have Super Mario RPG Remake, which I'm close to completing, and I've said that 9 million times on this podcast, but I made some recent progress of getting past Land's End, and then I want to move into Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. So those are my RPG plans. Those RPG plans will probably continue over into next year. I don't know if next year is going to have a different theme. Last year was the year of survival horror. This has been the year of the RPG, and I think the year of the RPG, I think if you had to ask me, I don't know what my favorite genre is, would maybe be RPG or a 3D platformer. So something that I have a lot of going on right now, which is great for me, and hooray for me in the video game world. So year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. It's been a great year. Just a year of highlighting and thinking about RPGs a little more than you normally would. And for upcoming games, September has been a great month so far, and August. And upcoming this month, I don't know if I'm going to buy this next one, but it's something I want to pick up down the line. That's Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Comes out September 19th, 2024. Looks like a really incredible remaster, and something I want to get my hands on at some point. But like I'm saying, I got so many good games going on. It'd be a little bit crazy to throw that one in the mix, so just maybe not this time. And then I got to clear the runway a little bit for The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom on September 26, 2024. That's the next must-purchase day one game for me, and then I think that really is the last one of those that's on the book, so it'll be nice just to... It's feeling like a little bit of an overflow of great video games right now, but there aren't necessarily... There's going to be some temptations and things that I'm interested in, but nothing that's like a definite day one purchase, so that's nice, and I just have a couple games in the chamber ready to play, and I'm going to be loving my video game life over here. So those are my thoughts on the video gaming for this week. It's been a great week of video gaming. It looks like next week is going to be a great one too, and that is all I got to say. So I'm going to wrap up the first section of the show. You're going to hear some lovely break music. We're going to come back for the mid-section where I tell you about what's going on around the video game world. So I would say the best weekly catch-up of cool video game information that you need to know. And it's going to be brought to you after this music. Welcome back to the mid-section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 93. This is where I tell you about what's going on around the video game world, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to tell you about is a game that came out and no longer exists. So pretty hard to believe. Concord. And this, we got an update. So basically this game doesn't exist and they refunded it to everyone. That is the gist of this story, which is pretty crazy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of the details here. So we got an update from Ryan Ellis, the game director of Firewalk Studios, on September 3rd, 2024 on the team-based first-person shooter. This game released August 23rd, 2024, and allegedly only sold 25,000 units and possibly had a $100 million budget. So, and this game was being sold for $39.99. So they might have recouped about $1 million back, it seems like. And it seems like there was a lot left on the table to recover there. So really bad news. I'm a little bit laughing, but it is not a joke to Sony. That is for sure. This is really bad news. And they say, Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. And I love corporate phrases and sayings. And, there wasn't a lot of support. They should have said, your support and the passionate community. There wasn't one because this game is being, delisted or whatever. It's being refunded. So they should have said, thank you for the small amount of passion or whatever. We know there was some passion about this game, blah, blah, blah. And I guess they do say that. But they say, however, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, which I think is true, we also recognize that other aspects of the game in our initial launch didn't land the way we intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning 9/6/2024. So September 6, 2024. So that game, if you're listening to this podcast, has already been taken offline, and they're going to explore options, including those that will better reach our players. They also say, while we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for a PlayStation 5 store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. So customers who purchase from other digital storefronts will also be refunded. Once refunded, players will no longer have access to the game. They will keep you updated, and thank you again to all the free gunners who have joined us in the Concord Galaxy. So definitely just, sad thing for especially the developers and the people who created this game. This is not what they intended, and, that's not a laughing matter, but this game really was a colossal failure. And that's just kind of the truth of the situation. And it seems like they're going to have some type of pivot, but who knows if that'll work. But for right now, this game went the exact opposite of how they wanted it to go. So I think they were developing this game for many years, almost a decade. It was something one of the execs at Sony saw and liked, and I think they picked up Firewalk Studios after that, or sometime in the midst of this game being developed. So it was something they really had a lot of faith in. And I think the criticism of this game's been all over the internet, and it just seems a little bit too late. It doesn't seem like it's a terrible game. It's, they called this Overwatch Guardians of the Galaxy. So immediately when this game came out, I think the whole narrative was built around this game, and I think immediately people rejected this game. So I think it's a good thing for maybe gaming overall, but I don't know. A lot of people say the state of the video game world is in a bad state, which is possibly true with all these layoffs and company consolidations and things like that. But this game, it just has to be a lesson for, I don't know if it has to be a lesson for these developers, but I think some of these budgets are kind of outstanding. They're not sustainable, and you're not seeing the return on them. So I think the lesson is to get more creative instead of just upping the budget and upping the fidelity and upping those kind of things. I think the creative thing is to hear the juice that everybody really likes and ends up living on and really loving. And I think there is some good creative stuff in here, but I think a little bit of the package with this game is a little bit of a turnoff. I think the price tag was a turnoff. I think if this game was marketed as a free-to-play game, it could have seen some more success, but do they have to add microtransactions in the game? I don't know. I think everything, for the most part, comes down to quality and creativity. And I think if they would have released something more unique, they would have had a better chance. Or if they wanted to release something so cookie cutter, maybe you do make it for free and just and really rest your laurels on, hey, we did a really great job of making something cookie cutter or basic, but the bones and structure of this game are very fun. We're giving it for free, and then maybe you have some fun trappings along the way. I don't know. I just think their strategy on this, I think they wanted to build this as a legacy platform where they haven't done anything in the Concord universe yet. So I think they were at the finish line before even getting the race started. And I think that's ultimately what tripped them up. They tripped getting off the starting blocks and they lost the race. So you gotta pick yourself back up and reevaluate. And I think that's what they're doing. And these companies, losing all this money is just a drop in the bucket for the most part. I don't think we really have to feel too bad about them losing their investment here, but there are definitely some casualties to this Concord war, and definitely empathetic to those people, and that should be obvious. But I'm kind of just talking more about the rollout and what happened here and what went on with this game and the game release. Just an epic failure. I don't think I had enough time to cook either. I think people were liking this game. I don't think people were hating it that much. I think people were just kind of blah on it. I think they might have given up a little bit too early on that front too. So I don't know. I think they realized early I don't know if they were doing wrong for charging people, but early on they just realized, hey, we're not recouping any of this money, and the narrative is just going to be getting spun worse and worse. They try to take control of the narrative, but now they have, now I don't know what they do from here. So I'll definitely keep you updated on that if I hear any more news. But shout out to Firewalk Studios. I hope they can manage through this, and I definitely wish them all well. I don't think they made a trash product here. It's not something I would have tried for $40, and I think a lot of people felt that way. And I think that's good overall for consumers. That's kind of how you speak up with some of these things. Even in the face of $100 million budget game, you can just say no thanks, and it can really have an impact. So I think that is one of the small good caveats out of this thing. But you don't want to have to go through these things to have those realizations. But everything can't be a success. Blah, 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 blah. That's how things go. And Concord is no longer existing. I think they did the right thing by refunding everyone. Hopefully that went smoothly. And there's even physical copies of Concord out there. So pretty wild turn of events. And ultimately, hey, I'm sad for the team over there and the game in general. I don't want anything to crash land like that, or people to lose their job, or have a tough time at work, or whatever, or give these people any type of hate or anything like that. Hey, it wasn't successful. Doesn't make any of these people evil. Maybe some of them are, because that's just the percentages of life in the world. There's a negative thought, but give these people a break. A lot of these people are just going to work. A lot of these people did put their best effort forward. Some of the strategy stuff didn't work here, and there's probably a lot of ingredients into the failure here of Concord. But the game no longer exists, and if there's anything new on the Concord front, I will let you know. But the only thing I think we could hear is this game going free to play at some point, which I think is not the worst idea. I think they really need to, if it goes free to play, I think they need to play it really well. I think they need to not try to trap everybody into microtransactions. I think they really kind of need to toss it up as a offering to players and fan bases more so than really trying to game us. I think they need to put the game out. If they really do think it's just a great game, a fun game that they want people to play, put it out for free. Let people get their hands on it. Let people decide if they want to hoist it up or not. And I think maybe that's their method, and I think they could see some success that way. Maybe add some different characters. Maybe take out some of the cutscene stuff. Maybe boil the game down just to the gameplay. Maybe put some more game modes in there. Maybe put it out free to play. Maybe add some characters that you're going to put in DLC later. Maybe give them early on. I think they got to establish some goodwill early on when releasing this thing, and that would be my advice to them, is not be trying to game the system or game players or consumers with this one when you put it out. Maybe you do have to give up some concessions with this next release of putting it free to play. Maybe add some stuff in the mix that would entice people to come play, and that would maybe get a Guardians of the Galaxy license deal or something to get some gear or skins in the game, and give everybody who signs up a free skin when they are free to play or something like that. You gotta do something cool like that to get people interested and get people give them the reason to come try it. And I think by refunding all these people their money, and I think you should give those people too. I think there's any way to identify the people who purchased this game, or maybe have something in the menu where you can say you've purchased it and it gives you some kind of cool tag or something. I know people will lie about that, so if there's some verifiable way to do it, I think you should give them some type of incentive or some type of hierarchy or some type of marker or something cool, just to let other people know that, hey, they were one of the early adopters. And if Concord is ever a success, that would be a cool thing. So those are my thoughts on Concord or Concord. I concurred that Concord is no longer existing. So rest in peace to Concord. All right, so let's get into some more video game stuff going on. One game that's coming out soon in the news here, a little bit of news with this game. This game is Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. And the news here is this game is coming to Xbox One in 2025. Or Xbox Series 1, Xbox Series X and S. This game originally wasn't intended to come out on that platform. It wasn't originally intended to come out on Xbox. So they have said They're excited to announce that after technical discussions with our partners at Microsoft, we can confirm that Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics will release on Xbox One. The Xbox One version will be out in 2025, so please stay tuned for more information. I think it's funny that they were saying maybe this game was touted to come out on Xbox Series X and S and not Xbox One, and it's coming out on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, so maybe that's the news here. Because it would be weird to have an announcement based around telling people the game's coming out on an old gen console. So just even thinking through my notes here, I bet that is the case. This game releases on September 12th, so in the upcoming week. If you're listening in real time, I don't see a price tag yet for this game, but I guess it's going to be $59.99. It's 7 unique titles, and you can enjoy through local and online play. So I think the Marvel vs. Capcom mashup in the fighting games is really cool, and I think it's one of the cooler things in fighting games. So this is something I might potentially pick up. Hey, I was talking about the year of the RPG, and next year could possibly be the year of the fighting game. I've had a little bit of a resurgence in playing some fighting games lately, and it's a franchise that I have gone really hard in sometimes and then fallen off or not been interested. So that's a really good thought here. So I don't know if I'll remember that in the next episode, but there's been a lot of good fighting games coming out recently, and I have a good little stash that I already own. So this could be not the worst idea for the Dep Lewis Show. So thank you for going down that thought experiment with me. So next year could possibly be the year of the fighting game on the Dep Lewis Show. So that's something good to think about. But Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is coming out September 12th, and it's coming out next year on Xbox One, so those people can play it as well. So that is the bit of news there. And I think a lot of these games, I think for the most part, you guys know what I'm going to purchase. I think a lot of these games I have interest in. Like, I would like to play this game at some point, but I don't think it's going to be a day one purchase for me. I think the only day one purchase I have on the books right now that has a release date is Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which I've been hearing some good things about that. All right. So another game that I've been hearing good things about, I want to tell you something about, is Black Myth Wukong. So that is the very new popular action RPG exclusive to PC and PS5 currently. The developer is Game Science. And I just wanted to say, it seems like there's been some weird stuff here with the Xbox release, or they've made it unclear. It was apparently teased at one point, and then Game Science said they are still optimizing for Xbox. And now there are exclusivity rumors that PlayStation has exclusive rights for a certain amount of time. And so I think it is unclear at this point. So I just wanted to bring that up because that's been a story about this game. But overall, I think this game's been very successful, and a lot of people have been liking it. It is a boss rush game. I think a lot of people want to compare it to Elden Ring, but I've heard multiple people who play this game say that's not an apt comparison. So it's more of just a boss rush game. So you're just fighting giant bosses back to back to back through this really cool world. But I think I don't think this game's for me, but I think a lot of, this game's been sold way more copies than expected. So doing the complete opposite of Concord. And yeah, it just seems like it is coming to Xbox at some point, but we just don't know when. So who knows if it's tech issues, which I don't really understand that. And it seems more to me like it would be an exclusivity thing. And the other point was they could be working to have this run on the Series S. So Baldur's Gate 3 followed a similar trajectory, and this is making sense. Yeah, I wrote this is making sense to me. So it could be having to, I don't think you want to develop you're not going to develop the game if you are in the current landscape. You're not going to develop a game to the exact specs of the Series S. You would kind of think some of these games would just be able to work. I'm not a video game developer, but the question I would have would be, if you made this game that runs like you want it to, or you target for it to run like this certain way on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, then isn't the Xbox S version dialed down a little bit? Aren't you just basically stripping things out of the game? Or, there's obviously work in that of the stripping things out or whatever it may be, or dialing things down. There's work in that. But it seems like that would be the easier part of the work than actually developing the game for the high-end specs. I could be completely backwards on that, but it does seem like there could be some more time, but it seems like the time would have already been spent, would be my thought on this. So, not working in video games, that would be kind of my dumb question about this, but it seems like that could be a factor in here. Maybe they're having the little bit of extra work, or whatever amount of extra work that goes into having this run on the Series S, and maybe they have to, who knows? I don't know is the ultimate thing, but Baldur's Gate 3 did the same thing. So maybe with some of these third-party games, you just kind of wonder, why don't they come out on both platforms if it's not an exclusive game? Some of these third-party games, you think they would want to be on the multiple platforms to have all the options for getting the income to come back to them. So I don't know. But those are my thoughts. Black Myth Wukong has been a smashing success. Seems like a very good game. So if you're into a tough combat action RPG that fights tons of bosses and crazy looking insane bosses, go check out some Black Myth Wukong on the PlayStation 5 and PC currently, and it seems like it's coming to Xbox maybe next year. All right, news. What kind of news do we got? We got some companies aligning together for some strategic cooperation, and that is Remedy and Annapurna. So they have announced a strategic cooperation agreement on Control 2, the video game. Remedy is thrilled to announce that we are working together with Annapurna, who are co-financing the development of Control 2 and taking the Control and Alan Wake franchises to film, TV, and beyond. So it seems like a great day for these two companies. I think these kind of things, these strategic cooperations could come with a lot of excitement, have a lot of great potential, but could also, there's, the chance, just like in everything, it could go poorly because you're combining two things that haven't been put together before. You're combining two leadership teams. Could be, everyone has different perspectives and ways of thought, but this would be like putting two heads together to figure out some money, and that can be helpful sometimes, having the two heads, but the two heads can also complicate things sometimes. So in this, they're saying, what does that mean for you, our dear fans? Above all, it means Remedy is able to make Control 2 exactly the game we want it to be, which that's cool, while we now also have an incredible partner to extend our IPs to other mediums. So yeah, you're not, I would say, I'm thinking through this right now as I'm, reading the talk, but it is nice to bring in additional help instead of running your current people thin or trying to add more jobs and tasks onto them. You're making money, spend some of that money in a partnership. Like Juicy J says, it makes money to make money. And that's what they're doing here. And it's not guaranteed it's going to work, but if it does work, that you can have some really, really high return. So I think that's what they're going for here. And you can have some high quality. And I think both of these companies usually deal with quality. So I think that's a good mix. And if I had to put my money on it, I would say this is going to be a successful strategic partnership. So what else have they said? We're going to be publishing Control 2 ourselves. When I look at all the games we have in the pipeline, the future of Remedy is incredibly exciting. You can trust us to keep bringing your incredible video game experiences. It does seem like Remedy is a little bit slept on. It seems like they're building momentum and more momentum as the years go along. And I think they are going to be more well-known as time goes on. I think they're a very quality studio, in my opinion. And then Annapurna is an independent multi-platform media company and content studio founded by Megan Ellison in 2011, and they are working with artists across film, television, games, and theater. Annapurna creates, produces, and acquires high-quality original stories, helping creators reach audiences globally across mediums. So a lot of times you hear about developers and publishers, and even to me, I sort of act like I know what they mean, and I sort of do. And I just wanted to look it up while I was thinking about this and reading through this article. So a video game publisher is a company that manages the process of bringing a video game to market. So it could just be an asset, I believe. I think, a developer can be a publisher, and we see here that a company can do both. Annapurna does both of them. I don't know if they started off on the publishing side, but I think any of those things are probably possible. But those are basically the two, I guess those have been the two distinct, business groups that have really, the two business groups that have put video games out over the years traditionally. You have a developer and a publisher. I think we're seeing a little bit more of that mixed together nowadays where companies are trying to do it all. I think that's probably the way the world is going for most things, but just an interesting thing. I wanted to put that as a note on here because, this podcast is hopefully trying to help you learn something about video games, and it definitely helps me learn, and, I'm trying to learn about video games all the time. So Remedy and Annapurna having a strategic cooperation on Control 2, and Control 1 is actually something I booted up the other day and played a little bit of, and was immediately foiled and beat up. So I don't know if I'm going to play any more of it, but I do enjoy that game. The combat feels good. The atmosphere is neat. I just think there's no difficulty settings, and I'm a little bit of a wuss. But it could be something as I grow stronger and braver as I get older, even though I'm already old, or not old, but somewhat old. I'm an old gamer. But Remedy and Annapurna, that's the news there. So what else we got for you for video game news this week? There's some rumors. I think this is pretty interesting of a Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. And these are just rumors right now, so nothing completely true here. But I think there's some validity here, especially after thinking about it. So Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which is the third, Metal Gear Solid 3, is out later in 2024, which they say, which I don't believe that's true. I think that game would have a date by now for kind of how high profile of a release that is. I don't think it's going to shake up the entire world because it's a remaster. It's a little bit of an older franchise at this point, but this franchise does have a huge install base already. And, I guess they're going to be trying to attract some new fans, but I don't know if this game's going to be selling, like Grand Theft Auto or Black Myth Wukong numbers, but I think this game, I don't know, that could be a little bit talking out of my you-know-what with Metal Gear sales. I don't know traditionally, I think Metal Gear is a success, but I don't know how insane the numbers are on the sales. But other thoughts on these rumors of a Master Collection 2. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection 1 is nearly a year old. And they're saying that this game, this Master Collection 2, the cool thing here is it could include Metal Gear Solid 4. So the thought here is that it would include Metal Gear Solid 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, has only been on the PS3 since launch. So 2008 is the year of that release. That's one of my favorite video games of all time. And this says, will this collection drop on Nintendo Switch? I think the first collection is on Nintendo Switch. So if they're adding in the further games in the franchise, will it be on the Switch, or will that be something coming out for the new Switch successor? So maybe that's a good thought, and that would be pretty exciting to have Metal Gear Solid 4 on a new Switch. And just thinking through that in my head now, I think hopefully that is the way they're going. I think that would be fantasy world to be fun, and I think it's actually realistic. So it's expected on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S for this collection. And who knows? I would definitely be interested in playing some Metal Gear Solid 4 again, just to relive the nostalgia and how much fun that game is. And that was, I had a 360, and I got the PlayStation 3, and I think that was the first game I bought for the PlayStation 3, and completed it. And as you know, I'm not too much of a video game completer, which maybe I'm rewriting the narrative on that a little bit, and maybe I should quit saying that because I have completed some games. But I just have a history of playing a lot of games, maybe not completing them all, but maybe I just play a lot of games. Who knows? I definitely, whatever. That's me trying to cop a little bit of a plea. I definitely don't finish too many games, but Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I think it would just be cool to have the option to boot it up again. I don't have a PS3 anymore, and there hasn't been another way to play this game, and I think it's something that I probably would have picked up on a sale or at some point on a digital storefront if it was out. So I'll be tempted by it, and I'm excited to see that coming. And I think that Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater would be a day one purchase for me. It's something I really want to try, and everything I've seen from it early on has looked really, really cool. All right, so 2 more news things I want to tell you about here in the midsection. The next one's just an upcoming game. It's not coming out till October, but October 11th. I just want to put this on your radar. It definitely seems really cool, and I've talked about this before, but I just want to keep these things on your radar. Talking about games coming out all the time, so I just want to make sure we got our story straight. So there's a game called Metaphor ReFantazio. It releases October 11th, 2024 for PS4, 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Windows. It's going to cost $69.99 US. And this game is from the creative minds behind Persona 3, 4, and 5. So I think that is a huge note here and a huge feather in their cap, and something that should pique your interest. ReFantazio, a unique fantasy world where your protagonist will journey alongside his fairy companion Gallica to lift the curse from the kingdom's lost prince. Control your destiny, face your fears, and awaken magical archetype powers that lie dormant in your heart. By awakening to an archetype, I don't know why I can't say that. An archetype. I'm stupid. You will unlock the power to channel and combine the abilities of unique job classes, strengthen your bonds, and build your party to take down powerful foes and discover the kingdom's true nature. So, key features: go on quests, dungeon dive, and hunt for treasures by day, strengthen relationships, build bonds, and increase virtues by night. By night, it sounds a little bit sultry there. Choose your actions wisely. Time management is key to achieving your goal. Ride your gauntlet runner to faraway dungeons and towns across an expansive world. Discover beautiful landscapes accompanied by captivating music, immersive UI, and anime cutscenes. A unique battle system combining turn-based and real-time action grants strategy and exhilaration at every turn. Party customization through archetypes provides freedom to personalize your adventure. A mysterious and exciting story unfolds in a world where people must fight their own anxiety. Join the high-stakes world tournament that promises hours of captivating exploration and discovery. So I just think this game it's cool because it's coming from the creators of Persona 3, 4, and 5, which are great RPGs, something I would like to play more of as my life goes on. And I think it's cool they're putting this into a new world. I think these students are a little bit older. I think these are actually college students this time. So a lot of the Persona 3, 4, and 5, I believe they're all high school students or younger people. These people are getting a little bit older, so it could lend to some more mature themes and stuff throughout this game, and I think it's cool. I think they're doing a little bit more of a fantasy kind of a high fantasy more than anime, even though it says they have anime cutscenes, but it seems a little more medieval-y kind of thing than anime, like Japanese high school. So I think that's a cool change as well. But you can also see a lot of the similar through lines between the Persona games and this one. So I think that is a positive here. So I'm really interested to see what people think about this game. This is something I would like to pick up at some point. I don't think it will be a day one release for me because it's seemingly going to be a very long RPG, but this is something that I hope is going to be a success, and hopefully I'm going to be wanting to pick it up some point after release. So that's Metaphor ReFantazio, something that has everyone's kind of said this year that has one of the worst names in video games, and my hope for it is that it's going to be a great video game, and it's going to make that name popular. So way to go, Metaphor ReFantazio, or ReFantazio. I want to hear more people say that, I guess, so I can feel comfortable with how I'm saying it. But that game looks really cool. A lot of people will probably just call it Metaphor, and it is coming out October 11th, 2024. All right, the last thing I want to tell you about in this midsection, news-wise, is Balatro, the deck-building roguelike themed around poker. Very fun game, came out earlier in the year. Definitely a contender for one of my games of the year. I think there's been some recent stuff that have come out that have pushed it down a little bit, but it's going to be in my top 10, or it's going to be in my top games. I don't know if I'm going to have a top 10 this year, but it's going to be in my top games. It's definitely on the list. I've bought it on multiple platforms. I played a lot of hours of it, and this game is coming to mobile. That's the news here. It's coming to mobile on Apple Arcade, App Store, Google Play on September 26, 2024. The mobile version is going to cost $9.99 US, and then on other versions of console or Switch, it's $14.99 US. And I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it, even if you don't like poker. I don't think this should be too intimidating. I think if you like anything about deck builders or roguelikes, I think if you like anything about a great handheld game, it's just fun. You can pick it up and play. You don't have to have too much of a commitment to it. You can have a run. You can stop in the middle, save in the middle of your run, or sleep in the middle of your run. Come back, try to finish it. There's all sorts of crazy power-ups, different strategies that you can tailor your cards to your play style, and that's a fun thing to try to do. If you like playing face cards and blah, 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 if you like playing holding for aces, just whatever, you can kind of tailor it to your own play style. So there's unique ways to play it. There's more than one way to tackle it, and Balatro is an amazing game. Talked about it a lot on the show over the course of this year, and I just want to tell you that it's coming to mobile. So I think this is really a great move, and just congrats to all the people over at the Balatro development team. I think this is a great game for mobile. I think this is a great game for even non-video gamers. This game could attract a gigantic, gargantuan fan base, and I hope it does. And Balatro is an outstanding video game, and shout out to them. So that's going to wrap up the midsection of this show this week. That's all the video game news and happenings and information I have for you. So just a quick recap. Concord, the video game that came out August 23rd, has been shut down and refunded. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is coming to Xbox One, actually, which was not intended before. Black Myth Wukong. I don't know if there's an Xbox version coming, but we were talking about that possibly next year. Remedy and Annapurna have announced a strategic cooperation agreement on Control 2. We talked about the rumors of Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 involving Metal Gear Solid 4, which is very interesting. We talked about the October release of Metaphor ReFantazio, to put that on your calendar and in your minds. And then we talked about Balatro coming to mobile. So that's all the news and notes I have for you this week. It's going to take one final break, and that's going to wrap up all the video game thoughts for this week. And we're going to come back for the final section, which is the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So even if you don't like, even if you're just here for the video games, the third section is usually the shortest and the sweetest. It's normally just a personal journey through the sports world and my sports fandom, and hopefully it can just be a little bit entertaining. So please stick around after this music for the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 93. Welcome to the final section, the Miscellaneous Talk section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 93. This is where I talk about anything outside of the video game world. So I'd like to get right into the worldwide world of sports and tell you about what's going on in the NFL today. So the NFL season has started. It is in full effect, and the greatest team in the NFL universe, the Carolina Panthers, are going to take the field today in New Orleans against the Saints at 1 p.m. on Fox, and I am super happy about it. I hyped for the beginning of the season, as always. This is the only time of the season, most of the time, for Panthers fans that you can have some hope and some excitement. But hey, you never know. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Maybe they're going to surprise us. But if you had to put your money on it, I would say no. But I'm excited to watch it either way, because I am a fan, and I'm excited to see what's going on and try to see what some of my guys out there I like are doing, and just have some hope. And the Panthers are playing the Saints today. I certainly think the Panthers can win. I don't think the Saints are a good team either, and it'll be interesting to see. And I think the Panthers could really, really benefit from getting a win to start the season. I think people would overreact to it, which would be not proper to do. So I think this is going to be a long season. I don't expect much success. I think the best the Panthers could do is hope for a division, fighting for the division. And if I was talking to the team, I'd say, hey, we're going Super Bowl or bust. You got to really shoot for the moon. But I think just looking outside in, if I have to analyze, I think there's a small chance they could make a play in the division because the division's not so strong. I think the Falcons could possibly be the standout there. But the Bucs have done some good things. They brought back Baker, and the Saints always seem to be kind of good. They always seem to be a little bit in the mix. I don't know if Derek Carr is really the answer there, but they always play the Panthers tough, and definitely not a run over in the NFC South. And I don't know. I just think if Bryce can get his thing, if Bryce can really show us the number one pick kind of skills out there, which we'd like to see, maybe they can make a move in the division. That would be my hope. I hope they can get more than 2 wins. So I think that's the reason for the low hype this season. We had 2 wins last year, so just very low expectations this season. Getting 3 wins is going to be a move in the right direction. And hopefully they'll be getting more than 3 would be the hope. But we will see. Panthers open the season today in New Orleans. First home game is going to be on the 15th, September 15th, against the Chargers. I may be in the building for that one. We will see. But I'm really in wait-and-see mode a little bit. I'm talking about all this excitement, which I am excited, as always, to watch the Panthers. But I don't want to watch last year's offense. And I don't want to pay to go watch last year's offense. The whole story of last season was offense getting nowhere. The defense was playing pretty good, and then just getting worn down by the end of the game, and the game going completely sideways. And that was pretty much it. So need to see some offense. I think looking at the roster this year, I don't think the defense is going to be so stout. So I think they put more of the money into the offense. I should look at that on SpoTrack and try it, because you can see the breakdowns of where they're paying their money, but I would just assume it's being paid more to the offensive side of the ball this year, and hopefully we're going to see some of that return. So I think the Panthers generally, through their success, have been based on good defense and running the ball, and I don't know if we're going towards that anymore. It seems like a new era. We got Dave Canales' first game as a head coach. Got Bryce Young starting his second year as a starter. We got some new players in the building, and we're going to see what's going to go on with the Panthers. So you're going to hear about it every week here on the show. I talk about the Panthers every week, even through the offseason, but we're going to talk about the game next week on the show and just keep you updated with what's going on with Panthers news, and hopefully we'll have something good to talk about. But, shout out to all your favorite teams out there in the NFL season. We've already had 2 games. We had a Thursday game, we had a Friday game, and then today we're getting the full slate. So it's a really great day to have some football back. Been watching a little bit of the college football yesterday. Hit a 3-leg parlay, so that was pretty nice. It was 3 positive odds. They all covered the spread and made a little bit of cash. So that is nice to do on the sports book. So please gamble responsibly out there, and please have caution when gambling on favorite teams of Dep Lewis Show. All right, so that's the Panthers news. They're playing today at 1 o'clock, so that is less than 3 hours away right now in real time. So you can listen to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 93 today, and watch the Panthers game. What a great time. All right, so more sports news. Charlotte Hornets. I'm a semi-Charlotte Hornets fan just because I live in North Carolina now. First game of the season there is at Houston, October 23rd, 2024, so just want to keep that in people's minds. And then my favorite NBA team is the Atlanta Hawks. First game of their season is versus Brooklyn in Atlanta that same day, October 23rd, 2025. So a little over a month away from some basketball. And, love watching my favorite team. So it's always exciting when those things kick off. But another one of my teams right now that's in the midst of the season, kind of getting close to the end of the season, are the Atlanta Braves. So the Braves are trying to fight to hold on to that wild card spot, trying to make a run for the division here to close out the season. And the Braves have just been going through some tough times with the injuries, the injury bugs, and all those kind of things. And they've been doing okay. Last Sunday they lost to the Phillies to close out the week. They lost 2-3. They had no game on Monday. Tuesday the Braves won against the Rockies 3-0. The Braves won Wednesday against the Rockies 5-2. And then the Braves lost the final game against the Rockies 1-3. And then the Braves have been playing the Blue Jays this weekend. They won Friday, lost Saturday. They played the Blue Jays again today at 1:35. So I feel like that's been pretty much how the Braves season's been going. They've pretty much been right at 500. Win a game, lose a game. Maybe win a game, lose 2 games. They just haven't really been streaking too much. I think the injury toll has been too much change, too much non-roster cohesion, too many bad things happening, too many people having to shuffle out of the lineup, too many free agents having to be signed, too many people have been brought up and put down, and it's just been a taxing season on the Braves, and I would love for them to get in the playoffs and be able to take a halfway breath of the wild card and start playing that. But I don't know. I think the Braves are going to have to be on pedal to the metal until the end of the season with stress and high leverage games and, having a lot of meaning to everything they're doing. And I really just kind of hope they can have the mental fortitude and toughness to get through this and get in the playoff hunt. And I think once they can get there, they can take half a second of a breath and then get back to the business, more so than they ever have. So it's kind of my thoughts on the Braves as a realistic fan take right now. Next week for the Braves. So the Braves play today at 1:35. So I have the Panthers and the Braves going on, which is a wonderful thing that happens for, just a couple weeks in the world, but it's a great thing for myself and, some other fans too of those two fan bases. But next week, the Braves, let's see, Monday, the Braves are playing the Reds, which I'm guessing is a makeup game in Atlanta. And the Braves have a weird schedule next week. And then they're in Washington against the Nationals Tuesday and Wednesday. No Thursday in game. And then the Braves are in Atlanta versus the Dodgers Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So a series that hangs over till Monday might have been a makeup from earlier in the season, which the Braves did have a ton of rain delays earlier in this season too. So it's been an insane, crazy season for the Braves, and pretty much every factor that could factor into a season being crazy has happened to the Braves, and they're still in the mix. So I'm definitely proud of them for that. I think they're a good team. I mean, I really do. For the season, I definitely had hopes on them winning the World Series. Put some gambling money down on that. And wasn't just doing it based on being a fan of them. So I think they can. I think I was thinking last night watching. I think if they can just get some of the roster back in order, if they can quit having these roster fluctuations and injuries, if they can get a roster going for the last couple of weeks of the season and then into the playoffs, I think they really have a shot. But I think the roster's got to be consistent. I think we can't have any more crazy injuries. I don't think we need any more baseballs going off people's hands or hitting them in the head like Whit Merrifield or anything like that. And I wish the best for the Braves and hope they win today against the Blue Jays and then into next week. And we're going to have a lot of sports to talk about here in the Dep Lewis Show coming up. So a little bit of the sports drought is the Braves have been holding it down for months now here on this final section, but we're going to have the Panthers coming up. We're going to have the Braves going, and then we're going to have the Hawks and Hornets going on pretty soon too. So the video games and the sports world on the podcast are going to be balancing out a little bit more. And that's very exciting for me and hopefully exciting for you too, because I love both of those things. All right. So that's going to wrap up the final section of the show today. So, pretty much go NFL and go video games. So let's see here. Well, the final section, we talked about the Panthers, we talked about the Hornets, we talked about the Hawks, we talked about the Braves, and watch the Panthers today at 1 o'clock. And I'll be talking about that game next week on the Dep Lewis Show, so come back and you don't want to miss it. So that's going to wrap up the entire show. Thank you for being a listener. I want to reiterate some promotional talk for the beginning. Follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly and get some additional benefits. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week out there in the world. I hope you play a lot of great video games. Hope you watch a lot of sports. Hope some of your favorite teams get rolling. Hope you have a great week at your job. Hope you have time off from your job. I hope you go on vacation. Hope you get to eat something good. I hope you see a family member. I hope you see a friend. Hope you get to pet a cute dog. Hope you get a gift. Hope you have a great time. Hope you do something nice for someone else. Hope you tell a friend to listen to Dep Lewis Show, like they say on the Pat McAfee Show. And just thank you for being a listener. Thank you for being you out there. And I hope you come back next week. I'll be back next week talking about more video games and getting into the sports world. So you definitely don't want to miss it. And just thank you, as always. And I will see you next time on the Dep Lewis Show.